we go. Stay on brand with
That's right.
the beard and the glasses. So how are you, man? How's things going?
Things are going all right. Things are going well for the
Good,
moment.
good, good. Well, I'm sure, we'll get into it. As I've said with all my guests, that all we want to do is just have a chat. There's no format to it or anything, and you can say what you want. And obviously, if there's things you don't want to talk about, then just don't talk about them. But it's just more of a nice chat, and we'll just talk about whatever we end up talking about.
Sounds good. I like 5 years ago, I came up with the clever concept of, man, it's liberating to not have a secret. So I'm a pretty open book.
I mean, the thing I've found with this, first of all, hi friends. We've done it again. We've started the podcast like it's the Joe Rogan podcast, where we've just started chatting. And the trouble is, if we do that and we don't start the podcast, we end up getting gold that we just don't ever use. So, hello, everybody. I'm talking to somebody now that I feel like I've known for a long time. But this is the first time that we've actually spoken face-to-face. Please welcome Dan The Man Harper. It's so good to see you, mate. It really is.
It really is. Yeah, we've been friends for a while and never actually spoke.
No. If anybody's listened to previous episodes, I've spoken to Robin, who is a teabagger. I say in I was going to say question marks. I mean, it should be question marks.
It should be.
Yeah, we listen to a podcast called A Cup of Tea and a Chat, and the fans are called teabaggers. So let's get that out of the way. So that's the reason the teabaggers comes up, and we've got that out of the way. Now, Dan, you're a musician.
I am.
Now, is that your actual profession as a musician?
Yes.
Wonderful. So how did that all start?
I don't know anything else well enough to do it professionally. I started playing when I was 7, and due to an abusive household, it became my escape. And so I just poured everything I had into it, and there's nothing I know better.
Really? And so are you a multi-instrumentalist? Is there one specific?
No, I play drums.
You're a drummer. Wow.
Yeah. And then I tech and do stage production as well.
Right. Okay. So I mean, I tinker with instruments, which sounds a lot dirtier than it
Sure.
should do.
Sure.
But the whole 10,000 hours thing,
yes.
Would you say that is like on point? That is absolutely true. That if you wanna really master something, you've got to put the work in.
If you do it correctly, yeah. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I had an old instructor who used to tell me that all the time. You can practice all you want, but if you practice it wrong, it's not going to be right.
Yeah. So when it comes to, I mean, has it always been drums? Has it always been drums?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I come from a long line of them. I play drums. My father played drums. My grandpa played drums. My grandma played drums. Like,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. When I came home and said, I want to play the drums, my grandpa said, who saw that coming?
So, I mean, again, I've never, I think it's the same as like trying to fly a helicopter. A drummer has to do independent things with every limb of his body.
Yeah.
And it's all, I'm assuming it's all about rhythm. You've got to have rhythm to be able to be a drummer, surely.
Surely. Yeah, because I can teach anybody to play the notes, but I can't teach everybody to make the music.
Right. Does that also mean that you're a killer on the dance floor as well? Because you've got that rhythm.
It's actually the opposite of that. Ruby, my beautiful bride, she is a dancer. She's a trained dancer, and God love her, she's tried our whole relationship to get me to dance, and no.
Really?
No, we hear it differently.
Okay. Okay. And do you have a specific style of drumming that you like? A specific kind of music, or?
That changes daily.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I grew up listening to like 40s jazz.
Wow.
And so I really have a soft spot for swing. I'm not very good at it, but I really have a soft spot for that. All the way up through, uh, I toured speed metal for several years.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Jesus. I mean that's two different styles, but both I can imagine are about as hard to do as. I mean, jazz it just seems to be where everybody in the band is playing something completely different for a start. It always seems to
some,
me with jazz.
sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's very much flying by the seat of your pants. Yeah, and it's that's great. I love that.
Yeah. But speed metal is just balls to the wall madness.
Yes, they are the opposite ends of the spectrum on the same spectrum. They're both massively intense and physically demanding on everything, on listening, on cueing, on every just the same spectrum, just polar opposites.
Right. So in regards to mental health, the one thing I've found over the last few weeks where I've had a bit of a dip is that music can help, but
Mhm.
music can also hinder as well. Depending
Yes.
on what mood I'm in, it can help me get through certain moments, but it
Mhm.
can also drag me down
Oh
even
yeah.
further.
Oh yeah. It'll send you right back there.
But when you're playing, then
Hmm.
if you're going through a pretty bad time or whatever,
Hmm.
does it clear your head?
Uh, for me, if I get in the zone, yes, there is, athletes talk about getting into the zone, and it's almost meditative.
Right.
Your breathing changes, your heart rate drops. You're so focused on listening that you almost forget you're playing and you're just reacting.
Mm.
And so you don't have time to think about anything else. If you think about anything else other than what you're doing, it will it will throw that off,
Yeah.
and you can't have that.
But as a drummer, because like most drummers are normally set back from the stage,
Yeah,
do you can still feed off the crowd? I'm assuming, even though you're behind a load of drums and set back.
there are two there if you go to a concert, there are two absolute best seats in the house. One of them is right in front of the soundboard, because literally everything on that stage is pointed at that booth,
Right.
and the other is behind the drum kit,
Really.
because I get to not only watch the show, but I get to watch the audience as well.
Right. Okay. That makes
And that will clear your head.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So the big question again, I've had this thing in the very first episode, which I called the happy mask, in the fact that you've got a gig or a show at the end of the day,
Yep.
and you're not feeling 100%. And I've had this many times.
Yep.
People
I
that
have
I've
it too.
sung for would have no idea
Right.
because you put this mask on. How do you deal with it? How is it the fact that you know that as soon as you start singing or playing, you're going to be fine? Your mind's going to be taken over. Is it hard for you to do that?
It's I'm finding I'm messed up in the head until I sit down.
Right.
Once I sit down behind the drums, I know I have a job to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well. I'm going to do it great. And like you said, no one out there is going to have a clue that I'm going through whatever,
Right.
but I don't want to be there. And as
No.
soon as I stop playing, like in between songs, sticks will go down, my head will go down. I, I don't want to be here. Next, okay, here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that during a day then? Because like you say, you've got a gig to go to tonight, haven't you, or later on?
Yeah.
Do you try and do things during the day to fill your day up so that you aren't really thinking about it, or is it a constant ticking clock? Because that's what I tend to find. I'll try and relax and I'll keep looking at the clock thinking 4 hours till I got to leave, and then 3 hours till I got to leave, and you're basically counting down every minute.
Yeah. I today I had to run an errand, and I ran it this morning, and I came home, and I have literally done not much of anything, just dreading going.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I haven't loaded out yet. I, I no, I don't want to do it. And that's where I find I procrastinate the most.
Right.
Is I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And
And
there are, on the other end, there are days I'll have a gig at 7 o'clock and I'll be loaded up by noon, ready to go. Like, let's get this, let's do this.
mm,
It's not one of those days.
no. And it's not the job that's making you feel like that, or is it other things going on that's making you feel like that?
No, today it's just the job.
Right.
Today it's just, I know what I'm walking into and it's not going to be fun. And I'm going to have to manhandle it. And it's not going to be pretty. And I don't want to I don't like doing that. It's not fun.
No. But I'm assuming that every gig isn't like that.
No,
No.
no. But there are one or two a month that'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I'm in the position now where I'm sort of winding down doing my singing,
Right.
mainly because I don't want to be like the joke in the corner of the pub or club where people are thinking, oh my God, look at this guy. He's like nearly 60 and he's trying to sing Harry Styles songs. What the hell is that? So I'd rather people laugh with me than laugh at me or and I don't want to be that person. So I'm trying to just play places that I will enjoy playing and that I know like what I do.
Right.
But there have definitely been times where you walk into a place and this isn't going to be fun.
Instantly.
This is going to be like pulling teeth. This is going to be hard work.
Yeah, the whole vibe of the room is harsh.
Yeah. And there's not really anything you can do about that until you get there. And you think, right, I'm the same as you. It doesn't matter whether I'm playing to 2 people or 200 people. I'll do the best I can do.
Oh yeah.
And the trouble is,
I'll play better for the 2 people. I want them to tell their friend, you won't believe what you missed.
Yes, exactly. You try harder and it's the same as if you're playing in front of a packed crowd, but you can see maybe a table that are like not interested. I'm not worried about the 95% that are having a great time. I want to see that table. Yeah, I want to see those guys tapping their feet. And as soon as I know that, I think, right, okay, I've sort of...
Oh yeah, and I'll spiral out of control until I get them. Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes a quest in the end, doesn't it? It's like, I'm gonna get you, motherfuckers. Yeah.
Oh, you will be mine. Oh,
yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, as a drummer, then, who's the drummers that you admire?
Oh wow. I go a little off the path. The gold standard is Neil Peart is God. The drummer for Rush is God. But if he's God, then Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater is Jesus Christ.
Right.
But I love Stuart Copeland. I love Vinny. I like a lot of the people that play with Sting. Sting seems to find really, really great drummers. I like Joey Jordison of Slipknot is really fun. What's her name? Sarah something, who plays for Harry Styles. She's a hoot. She's a hoot to watch.
Okay.
She's got a great Instagram. You want to follow her?
Right.
It's nothing but her either walking to the stage or walking from the stage, just having the time of her life.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So if they're God and Jesus Christ, who would you say is the devil of drums?
Oh yeah, I'll go Buddy Rich.
Wow. Okay.
I'll go Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
Because I prefer, from a swing standpoint, I prefer Gene Krupa over Buddy Rich, but Buddy Rich gets all the credit.
Right. One thing that struck me, I was doing some research for a top 10 that we were doing not long ago, and I came across the footage of Karen Carpenter as a drummer.
Yeah.
God, I didn't realize what a good drummer she was.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's one person that had like pretty much all of it, an amazing voice.
Yeah.
But she was singing and playing the drums. I thought, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I never realized at all. So when it comes to
their own demons.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to sort of day to day dealing with your mental health, what kind of things do you do? Like I say, mine's the big black bear. So what kind of things do you do to sort of keep the big black bear at bay, or is it kind of always there, just sort of like mulling along?
Mine is always just out of reach.
Right.
Until he's not.
Yeah.
like I said, I grew up in a house with tons of abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, all of it. So I have a lot of trust issues, and I had a lot of anger issues, obviously.
Mm.
Hitting things with sticks really helps
I was
a
going to
lot.
say, is that where the love for drumming comes?
That's certainly helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and then again, right about a year before the pandemic, I out of nowhere, it shocked even my wife. Even I want to meditate. I want to learn that, and so I started doing that while I was waiting to pick up my kids. I would be
Right.
sitting in the car and I had 15 minutes, and I would just meditate in the car, and that has helped me keep the keep the demon out of my head. That's the big one for me. I really have to stop and think, and I have to force myself because I'm very reactionary. So I have to force myself to stop and think for a second. Okay, this is nothing. This is nothing. We're just gonna keep going on with our day.
Yeah. So how did you?
Otherwise, I I get I get loud.
Yeah. Because the one thing I am fascinated since starting this and since sort of looking into the mental health and depression, it is the whole thing of spirituality or whatever. But see, I don't know how do I say this. It's like I don't understand, or I don't know whether stuff like what you were just talking about actually would work on me.
Mm-hmm.
How did you learn how to do it?
I I I started listening to a podcast.
That's the answer to everything.
It's the answer to everything. It's a podcast for everything. And I found one called Buddhist Boot Camp, and the guy kind of annoyed me for a minute, but then but he got me to start doing yoga,
Okay.
which I wanted to do because my joints are stiff after 40 years. Like I needed to stretch really good, and I found this wonderful lady who would do just that. You know, she wasn't all about fast flow, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to put you in a pretzel mode, and you're going to hold that for a minute. You're going to feel that." But it taught me how to breathe outside of playing the drums. So I got to control my breathing, which was good. And then she pointed me toward an app called the Insight Timer, and I found a woman on there named Liza, and she does guided meditation, and she talks you through it.
Oh,
This
right.
is day one. This is what we're going to do. And that's all you need to do. And they started out at like 6 minutes. So they were short, they were sweet, taught me what I needed to do. And then I read a book called The Untethered Soul, because I'm not a religious person. I've had enough shit in my life that sorry,
Yeah.
I'm out. So I found this book, and the first half of the book is all about how to control the thought in your head. And it's just, don't not think it. You're going to think it. We
Yeah.
all think it. Just acknowledge that you've thought it. I've had this thought. Okay. And you move on to the next one. Don't beat yourself up, because a lot of the depression I was having brought along existential guilt.
Oh, right.
Whether I was letting someone down, or I wasn't going to be good enough, or I wasn't going to be able to get that done, or just whatever. Have that thought. Have it. Acknowledge you've had it. Okay, yeah, I feel like shit. Okay. But the world keeps moving. A minute from now, you're going to think something else equally as wacky. So you can't have them build up, because then you're screwed.
I mean, I completely agree with that whole thing about feeling like you're letting people down. I was talking to somebody today about that very thing.
Yep.
And they said the same thing that so many people have said to me, is like, you're thinking that, and you're getting yourself in such a mess when other people don't think that at all. Right. Nobody thinks that you've let anybody down. It's only you that thinks that you've let other people down. Everybody else is in your corner. Everybody else is rooting for you.
Yeah. Ruby says all the time, this is not a you problem.
Yeah. And then I start thinking, well, does that make that? Am I a narcissist then? Because I'm thinking that like it's me, 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 me.
No, you're depressed and feeling guilty.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Simple as that. But see, acknowledge that. Oh, fuck, it's the bear. Hi, bear. How are you?
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of feel that that's the thing is not to fear that the bear's there, is to almost try and make him one of your best friends.
Oh yeah. I firmly believe that, because with the things that I have had to fight through, I know it's not going away. It's part of me. So all I can do is spend the rest of my life breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get rid of that. It's never going away. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
See you next week.
Yeah. So the things that have happened like to you in your past and all the bad stuff, do you feel that like if that did go away, then part of who you are is lost?
Yes, but not in a negative way.
Right.
Again, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. I've spent my entire life breaking cycles. I don't want to deal with that. I have 3 lovely children. I never want you to experience anything like that.
No.
So we're going to break that cycle. God love my beautiful wife. Same thing. We grew up in the same neighborhood, dealt with a lot of the same things. We're on the same page. They're never going to deal with that. They'll never know what that feels like.
No.
Okay. So if I didn't experience those things, I almost wouldn't know what to protect them from.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I can not only tell you, I have an 11-year-old daughter who's starting to find her identity and her own clothing style. I can not only tell you why I'm not going to let you wear that out of the house, but I can tell you why.
Yes.
And I know you're not going to understand, and you can hate me for it, but you'll thank me for it later.
Yeah, I mean, wait until they're 25 and you see the stuff that they go out in, and you think, well, I can't do anything about it now. That's
25. All I can do then is hope I taught you well.
Exactly. I've had it where some of my daughters have come to my gigs, and you see the way that they dance, and you think, oh my God, I just feel so old. I've got no control over them whatsoever.
Ruby and I got together in 1990 in high school, and I remember vividly. I loved her from the moment I saw her.
Really?
And she's just gorgeous. She's just gorgeous. And she was a dancer. And as a drummer, that was really appealing to me.
Yeah.
And I've watched her dance all the ways, the different ways. And my daughter, God love her, is a spitting image of her mother. I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed.
Yes, you are. But again, like you say, all you can do is lay down a path for them, isn't it? And that they go off, but you, like you say, the things that you've been through, you know that you don't want your kids to go through things like that, and all you can do is give them the wisdom that you've got and the wisdom that you've learned. Yes.
All I can do is give you a great foundation, and I can give you my foundation, and my lovely bride is far smarter than I am, and she's a female, so she can give her that whole perspective. And after that,
yeah,
and I'm here when shit goes bananas.
Exactly. And in the end, I think that's the only thing you can do as an adult when you've got older, maybe like adult children, if you like, is be there to pick up the pieces when things go wrong.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that when my kids were going to be, after being teenagers, I thought it's going to be easy because they got their own lives, they can go off. I worry about them more now than I ever did when they were living at home. Because at least when they were living at home, I knew where they were, I knew what they were doing. I
Yeah.
could protect them from corners of tables and falling
Yeah.
downstairs. Now they're out and about doing God knows what, and you're helpless. You
Yeah.
know, there are
Yeah.
times when they'll say, "We had a great night last night, Dad." I said, "Did you?" And they'll start to. I say, "I don't want to know. Please don't tell me what you got up to. You're
Yeah.
home. You're safe. That's all I care about."
Right. And that's like my kids, like I did all my touring and all my really big stuff long before then.
Yeah.
And so they've never seen that.
No.
They've heard tales of it.
They've never
And
seen Dad as a party animal, have they? And a rock star.
no,
No.
no. And not even like I tech for a group, and we're getting ready to go out on the road, and we're doing, 1,100 seat theaters. They've never seen that side either.
Right.
So to me, Dad, to them, Dad's just you and your damn drums. Ugh. So I'm toying with the idea of taking my oldest boy. He's 14, and be like, okay, you're gonna come spend the day with me and see what I do.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna change the way you look at things, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah. Do any of your kids, like, are they interested in music? Do they wanna take the drumsticks up and
No.
No. And does that break your heart a little bit, or are you quite happy with that?
You know what broke my heart? I'll tell you. I'm sure she's not around. What broke my heart is last year my daughter comes in, Dad, I want to play the drums. And I was all, you're gonna win the drums. You're gonna win at school. You're the winner. And then like a week later, she comes back and says, Dad, all my friends are playing the flute. I want to play the flute.
Oh no.
It's just like, oh.
And then
okay.
And then
okay.
you can hear the heart break with that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You just see me like a Bugs Bunny cartoon just shattered.
Oh my Lord. Oh dear. So the whole thing with the meditating then, would you recommend that as a coping mechanism then? Because I'm seriously thinking of doing it, but like I say, I'm not religious as well. But I always look at meditating as sort of like meditating is a little bit hippie, is spiritualized. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. but I always, I always think of it as like that,
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not that.
No, and I find it very personal, because the way that I do it is not the way that somebody else does it. Like I do it in the car. Of all places, I don't sit on a cushion or get all me about it. I sit in the car.
Right.
I would absolutely recommend it, and start slow. Like I said, I'll send you a link to the lady that I use.
Okay.
There's 7 minutes. It's easy. You can stop on your walk and just. It's quiet. It's just me time. Okay, good. Okay. The other thing that we have found that worked, and I find really helps me, is I get up before everyone else.
Okay.
I get up and the house is quiet.
Right.
Before the business of got to get to work and got to get to school and got to blah, 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 blah. No, I get up, 15 minutes, have a cup of coffee, pet the cat, quiet.
And do you think that's a key as well to having a good day, is just having that little quiet time?
It's a key to a good start. Yeah. Because I don't really think then. I just sit and enjoy the quiet, because with 3 kids in the house, it's chaos.
Yeah.
So it's quiet for a minute, and I'm going to enjoy the quiet and drink my coffee.
Especially with the job that you have, where it's nothing but full on noise.
Yeah. And that's the thing that my neighbors all have to learn. My job is very, very loud, very loud. So when I come home, I want quiet, just like you do.
And is it easy?
So I turn the TV up real loud.
Is it easy to get that quiet though?
Yeah. Then I get up early. I make that choice to get up early to afford myself that.
Right. What's your So after a gig, you've had a great gig. What's
Yeah.
normally your process to unwind at the end of a? Because again, my problem I have, especially if it's been a good night, the adrenaline starts to subside when you by the time I've got home,
Yeah.
and that's when I tend to that's when I tend to have my drug, which is food.
It's food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
I love swinging through McDonald's at midnight. There's nothing.
that's the trouble. And
Right.
I just wondered with you, what do you do to try and unwind after a good after any kind of gig, whether it's good or bad?
Uh, my gigs, I tend to get gigs that are kind of a distance that are, an hour away, an hour and a half away. And so I have a long drive
Right,
and I don't listen to music.
right, yeah, that
It's,
makes sense.
it's quiet the whole way home. And then there's, there are two McDonald's by my house. Uh, and it usually puts me home about 2:30. And so the line is too long and I won't go because I'm not going to wait that long. It's not that good.
No,
um, and then I come home and I have a cigarette because I smoke like a freight train. And then I go to bed.
oh
I don't.
really?
I don't sit up. I go to bed. I've just run 10 miles,
Yeah,
so I go to bed. I don't. I'm not turning the TV on. I'm not any of that. I'm going to bed. That's my my other choice. Is
right.
I make the choice to go to bed, so I don't turn the TV on or I don't.
Like get your phone out or anything like that.
Right?
It's
No, no.
no, no,
I come in. It gets put by the door, and I go to bed.
right. I mean, I'm lucky in the town that I live in. Our McDonald's closes at midnight, so
Oh,
by the time
yeah,
I'm done and ready, because it would be too much of a temptation that if it was a
yeah.
24-hour one,
Oh, yeah,
let's just pop there and get a fillet of fish. Let's just go.
yeah,
Let's just go.
yeah,
It'd be too bad.
yeah.
It genuinely is. Um, so in
And I
regards,
take protein bars.
that's see now that's something that I've started doing is having a couple of protein bars in the
Yeah,
car, so
yeah,
then I can have that on the as I'm going home.
yeah.
So it sort of it takes the edge off an appetite when I get home. So I just try and go glass of water straight up to bed.
What do you drink? What do you drink?
Just water.
Oh, yeah. See, I can't do that.
Yeah,
I
and the trouble,
iced tea.
yeah, because I don't drink anyway, so
Right,
I'm not a drinker, and I don't I and having things like Coca-Cola or Pepsi
right,
as a singer, the last thing I
right.
want to do is be singing a great song and then burp halfway through it. You know, it just ruins the mood on so many songs. It just
I mean,
doesn't. Some
or
songs,
does.
yeah, some songs it might work. Some songs it just doesn't. So I tend to drink, but I have a big one of those big gallon
Right,
bottles, and I just chug my way through that.
right.
Again, the trouble is, in my advancing years, the bladder is not as strong as it used to be,
Oh, no.
and I sing for 3 hours without a break. That's what I
Oh,
tend
yeah,
to do. So
yeah,
there are times when it gets to like 2.25 hours, I think I seriously need a piss,
yeah, oh, yeah,
and I either have to hold it in or I have to say to people, "I'm terribly sorry.
yeah.
Please bear with me for a minute," and then I run through, have a whiz,
Right.
and come back. But it's just one of
Yep.
those. I'm not pissing myself on stage for anybody. I'm
Yeah, no, no. I'm not in the Black Eyed Peas. It's not
no,
gonna
they exactly. They don't pay me enough for me to do
No,
that. I mean, if they
no.
want to, if they want to pay me enough, they can. Um, so as we're sort of like coming to the end, the question I want to ask everybody from now on
Sure.
was a question that I asked somebody in the first episode. No, it was the third episode, I think it was. If you could go back and see your 10-year-old self and tell him one thing, what would you tell him?
10-year-old self.
Yeah,
Wow. It's gonna get better.
yeah,
It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets much worse. But it gets better. The
yeah.
world the world keeps going and you're gonna go through hell. But it gets better.
Do you think your 10-year-old self would understand what you
No,
mean?
no, not
No.
a clue. No, because I making the life that we have from where my wife and I came from, it that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. And we've busted our asses to get here. And no, no. I remember being 30 and doing my first real life all around the country, corporate sponsorship. I'm in a tour bus, my first legitimate tour, and laying in my bed going, what now? Now what? You've worked your whole life for this. Now what?
Mm.
And which sends you into that spiral again, you know? So the idea of actually succeeding at it, I would have never, I couldn't fathom that. I had too many people telling me I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
What's so special about you?
What do you do the following day when you've had that realization that, like, this is it? This is what I've dreamed about.
Yeah.
What do I do now? So
what next? Oh, I went to practice.
Right.
That's all we could do was keep pushing forward. We finally had the support behind us and we had some success.
Yeah.
We just kept pushing forward, and the next tour bombed. It
Really?
just bombed.
And I take it you weren't expecting it to bomb.
No, no, we were riding high. We just, wow. We were gone for 10 weeks, won over every audience. Life was good. And we show up at this theater in Champaign, Illinois, and we show up and it holds 3,000 people, and there are exactly 7 in it.
Oh my God.
Exactly 7. Yeah.
And was there a reason for that kind of drop off, or?
Well, part of it was the venue. That there were several big shows that week, and we were the lowest name on the. Oh, we can go see this person, or them.
Right.
And so people didn't show up.
So with that,
yeah,
when you had that feeling of, oh my God, this is it, did that make you appreciate that moment more, or did that make you think, oh, for fuck's sake, we sort of had it at that point?
Oh, I was devastated. There were 2 shows that broke me, and one was that one, and one was we got an invitation to open for Metallica, and they saw us playing in the parking lot. We were hired to play by the radio station to play in the parking lot.
Right.
And some of their people saw us and thought we were great, which is great because we only played 45 seconds.
Wow.
And the power went out, and I was devastated. I was like, this is it. And I was done. I literally climbed off the back of the stage and cried.
Oh
I was
God.
devastated. And then, knock on wood, do the work, and showed up to practice the next day. And 3 weeks later, we got to go out with them for 2 weeks to prepare ourselves to go out with Slayer for 6 months.
Oh, right. So
I don't know how to deal with things other than to just keep moving. Despite whatever happened yesterday, I have to get through tomorrow. Yeah. I don't know. I just keep pushing.
Yeah. Do you believe in, see, I'm not sure whether I believe in fate and the fact that everything happens for a reason to get you to where you are today. Do you believe that?
No. I believe in karma. I have experienced karma.
Right.
But I don't know that fate has anything to do with it. I've seen too many good people fail.
Right.
And I've seen too many terrible people succeed.
Yes.
Just on every front, you have no business doing that. You and I both know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, final question.
Sure.
It's the second part of that last question. If the 75-year-old you could come back and see you now,
Yeah.
what do you hope he will say to you?
Well done. Well done. You finally got your shit together.
Yay.
Finally, because I mean, look, my biggest accomplishment, my proudest thing is my family,
Hmm.
and we've been together a long time, and I love her to pieces. There's no one in the world I would rather see more than her,
Yeah.
and we have three beautiful kids. That's, once I pulled my head out of my ass, you know what? I'm going to tell you something that no one ever told me. And I tell my kids this a lot. It's okay to be happy.
Mm.
Nobody ever told me that.
Right.
No one ever told me that. It is perfectly okay to be happy.
It's weird that, isn't it? Because like I've had over the last couple of weeks, I've had so many people say to me like, it's absolutely fine to cry. You got there's don't feel guilty to cry, because I always call myself a pussy because I cry at anything, and they say there's nothing wrong with that. But on the flip of the same coin is there's nothing wrong with actually being happy and being happy with your lot and with what's going on.
Yeah. The situation blows. The situation blows, but life's good, man. I got, life's pretty good. This moment sucks. Acknowledge this moment sucks and move on.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's why you are the man,
No. Look, in seriously, seriously, I'm very proud of you for doing this podcast in particular.
That's very
because
kind.
you've had the psychologist on. You've had other people talk about their experiences, but to just have a normal conversation, to normalize the fact that we're all fucked up.
Yeah.
Every one of us is fucked up.
Yeah. Even the people that think that they're not are
Even the
fucked
people
up.
that think that they're the most fucked up.
I completely agree.
That's a huge thing, and I think you should be commended for that.
Well, that's very kind of you. And look, if this podcast finishes after this episode, the one thing that I'm happy about is the fact that we finally got to talk, maybe virtually, maybe on Zoom, but we got to talk face to face.
That's right.
Because
I'm very happy about that.
You're one of the tea baggers, and people that don't know the contact. Anyway, that I feel like we've had a connection right from the start.
Yeah.
We've always, I think, looked out for each other, and there's always been that little kind of a bromance, if you like.
Yeah, and we have that same cheeky sense of humor.
I feel so.
Yeah.
I feel so, and I genuinely feel, but I can't wait for the day when we can have a bit of a bro hug.
Rumor has it you're coming in April to the States.
We are. We're going to America's penis. We're going to Florida. Yeah,
that's right. And the rumor has it people are coming to meet you.
A few people are, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to be on tour that week.
Are you?
Yes. I won't sadly be able to make it. I will be in Chicago that weekend.
Well, I've made it a mission that if I ever win the lottery, right?
Yeah.
I am going to buy a load of plane tickets, and I'm going round to certain people and not going to tell them that I'm turning up. I'm going to find their address and just knock on the door and say, "Hey, how you doing,
buddy? I got an extra room. It's yours anytime you show up."
Awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. Dan, it genuinely has just been a pleasure to talk to you, mate. It really has. And I'm sure we can do this all again. Let's do a part 2.
Whenever you're ready.
Awesome.
I'm here whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Let me just go through all this gumph I've got to read out. If you want to get in touch, please email bigblackbearpod@gmail.com. All the links to Spotify, Apple, and all of that stuff is in the show notes. Same with social media, all those links. And if you enjoyed the pod, but you need some urgent help now, in the UK, call the Samaritans on 116123. In the USA, it's 1-800-273-8255. That's 273-TALK, or the US suicide hotline on 988. So once again, Dan the Man, it's great. Have a wonderful gig.
I shall.
And
now I'm all hyped up and ready to go. So
that's it. You're ready to hit something, aren't you?
Yeah. I love you, buddy.
Thank you. Bye, friends. Bye.